gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. This is Rob with Racing's Natural Aquariums, and today I'm going to show you a real quick video on the 2.5 gallon top fin aquarium or tank, along with the DIY divider for the two bettas that we acquired during the Aquatic Experience. So here's the beginning setup: page protectors and plastic mesh that I'm using for the DIY divider. So these were cut to size to keep the plastic sheet rigid and make it sit tight in the tank. So as you see there, it's been cut to size and it is perfect. So at any rate, definitely allows for some water flow. So here's the top of the top fin. As you see here, it looks like it has 3 LEDs where it's actually only 2. The center is just a chip. So here's the top fin 20 watt Betta tank heater. This heater is preset to 77 degrees. LED indicator to let you know if it's actually heating or if the tank's at temp. It is made for the 2.5 gallon for up to 10 gallons. So on the back you have 2 suction cups, which will allow you to place it anywhere in the tank. I was going to initially put it here in the right side corner because the filter goes on the left, but I thought it would be best to put it underneath the heater to allow it to pick up the warm water. Once was lost, but now it's found. I thought I lost this, and there it is. After the DIY, I find it. So let's compare. Here's mine, and here is the manufacturer's. It does have holes. It will allow for water movement. Now if you look at mine, it's very transparent, which I think overall is going to give much better flow, but I'm going to use theirs. So arrow down, put it through the slots in the top of the frame, and you're going to anchor the back side into the 2 little tabs in the bottom. You're in. The downside is there are gaps on both sides of the divider between the divider and the tank wall. Not big enough for a fish to get through, but again will allow for a little bit more water movement. And with the top fin filter, I don't anticipate a lot of flow, so any little advantage is a positive in my books. So put your gravel down, it'll keep it anchored in. The top slots will keep it from tipping in the tank, and once it's installed, nice and rigid, ready to go. So here we are with the base gravel. You'll see what I'm going to add to it afterwards. So it's butted up against the divider, everything's ready to go. So with this filter and its size, I decided to add some Nat Geo biological filter media onto both sides of the filter, just to try to give it that much more biological filtration. Because as you see, it's just a small foam pad that has carbon in it. This tank was purchased used, so the filter media had been used, but I don't think they had the tank set up that long because it looked brand new when I took a look at it. So by adding these balls in, and hopefully the camera will pick it up, there are so many nooks and crannies for the bacteria to colonize in. So this is the Nat Geo. Here's a couple bigger pieces, probably allow you to see the crevices more. So you see it's very porous. Definitely help with the biological. Alright, so this is basically the filter installed. It has little clips that sit on these ridges on the top frame. As you see there, protector to keep the water from flowing out down the cord. And that's the rim or ridge that it sits on. And as you see, a little plastic plug there to keep the water in. Now as you see, the filter does have carbon in it. Normally I don't use carbon, but this isn't going to be one of my heavily planted tanks. Small filter. You see the media pad is small, so now you see it with the biological bio balls in there to try to increase the biological filtering. Sits on there pretty strong. So filter, bio, outflow. Here it is set up. As you see, I decided to place the heater horizontally on the bottom. Reason for that is Being that you do have a divider in the tank that's going to reduce flow, the water is going to warm in this side. It's going to then be picked up through the intake tube, mix around in the biological filter, through the mechanical filter, spill out towards the divide, allowing for better circulation of heat in the tank. So here's another pickup from the Aquatic Experience, and this is ChemiPure's Green Nano. It is a high activated carbon, and you can kind of see the packet here in the bottom. What this is going to allow is more filtration for this small filter. I'm trying to hot rod this as much as I can, even though the bio load is not going to be super heavy, but I always try to give my fish the best that I can. And I do use ChemiPure in my bigger tanks, which is the ChemiPure Blue, and has done a great job to this point. Here's the ChemiPure Green Carbon packet, which I'm going to put on the exit side of the filter on top of the biomedia for just one more level of filtration. So here's another Aquatic Experience score. This is Fritz Complete, which is safe for use in fresh and salt water. It is a full spectrum water conditioner that instantly removes ammonia, chlorine, chloramines. It will also detoxify nitrate and nitrates. I think I said that right. Nitrates and nitrates. Any rate, 4-ounce bottle will treat up to 1,200 gallons. Talk about getting your money's worth. Now, I've used this since October during my water changes in my 55, and my tank is clear and it looks good, and the fish are looking really good as well. In addition to Fritz Complete, here is the Fritz Guard water conditioner. Makes tap water safe, instantly removes chlorine and chloramines and toxic heavy metals. 4-ounce bottle of this stuff will treat 240 gallons. Then what we have is the Fritz Algae Clean Out. This stops algae growth. It's fast acting, no more green water, and also controls string algae. 4-ounce bottle of this will actually treat 1,419 gallons. So talk about a decent lineup from Fritz and making your money go that much further. Just these 4-ounce bottles and what they treat is amazing. I do use them. I do recommend them. Also, I was given a bottle from Aquarium Solutions of another water conditioner, which you see right here is the Ultimate. I was using the Ultimate in the vases that the bettas were in, that I did get from the Aquatic Experience. Seemed to work pretty well. The bettas were doing well. I also decided to try the guard in between the water changes on my 10-gallon, my 55, as well as the small Betta vases. So it actually did pretty well. So here's your well-rounded field of water conditioners for you to try out, whether it be the Fritz or the Aquarium Solutions. Check them out. Here it is set up. 2 swords cut from runners in my planted tank, blue-green and red-pink gravel that was picked out by my girlfriend's grandkids. Remember, this is only a temporary home. And here it is. Now it's all set up. Here's a food access door or a handle in order to lift the top off. Bit of a design flaw because in the open position it rubs against the divider, raising the entire lid. So here you have your cutouts to run your cords along the frame and out the back. We are all plugged in, so let's light this up and see what she looks like. Voila! Not too shabby for 2 little LEDs. You're not going to grow any great plants in here, but you'll be able to see the inhabitants in this tank. So, not too bad on the lighting. There's Mr. Nosy, and Mr. Blue is chilling out in the back. Alrighty folks, here it is the next day. The tank has cleared up beautifully. As you see, there's some shimmering going on. Not so much on that side. And that's due to the little bit of water movement coming out of that filter. Sorry for the glare. But as you can see overall, there is very little surface movement at the top. So what I can do here is my local fish store has a small filter puck that'll go behind this plant that will allow the air bubbles to rise up to the surface, agitating the surface and giving me a shimmering effect across the entire tank, as well as running 2 filters. So, I mean, as you see, it seems like the blue side is a lot brighter, almost 3/4 of the way up, where on the pink side, it's not as bright, but the light is all the way up to the top. Fish are swimming back and forth, up and down. In the vases, they would basically just do a 3/4 turn, go under the plant, and that was it. So I can tell they are a lot happier in this tank. This is my wall, my 75. I've got the tank here, and I'm going to clear these boxes out and get a chest there, so I'll have room for at least another tank on that. But I want to get a rack on this wall so that I can get their 10-gallon set up. I can set the tank up that was underneath and get everything pretty much organized, instead of having everything all over the place. Maybe move my 10-gallon puffer tank into this room as well so that all my tanks are in the same area. So this stand I actually found on the garbage, and it is a steel rack, plastic sleeves that basically secure the shelf. I have these at work, but they run, bigger ones, they run for anywhere from $300 to $400. So this one being on the garbage worked out perfectly. I'm not worried about the weight of this tank on this shelf, so it definitely was a win-win. And it's 3 shelves deep, or 3 shelves top to bottom. So currently I just use the other one to store that big tank, and then down below I have the supplies. But with this tank, at least they are able to move, you know, up and down, where in the vase they would basically do 3/4 turn and then underneath the plant. So here we've got up and down, back and forth. Definitely made a difference. I'm very happy with, you know, the transition to this tank and how much happier the fish look to be. And it definitely was a win-win. Getting it used, you know, for 15 bucks. My cichlids were acting up there. I heard some splashing. But for 15 bucks, it's worth it. It sells for, on sale right now, for $24.99. Normally, I think it's like $26.99 or $27.99, somewhere in there, which for a tank this size is ridiculous. All you get is the tank, the filter, the lid, and the light. So that filter there in the back is about $12. So if this tank was probably $15.99, maybe $19.99, it would have been well worth it. But you have an underpowered filter, thus having to utilize the ChemiPure and then utilizing the Nat Geo biological media to try to make it a little bit more efficient by adding that into the filter. You know, I could see that if they gave you the tank, the lid, the divider, and the heater, it would probably be a little bit better value for your dollar. Now, as we've been doing this video, as you'll see there, the light has gone red. It's probably gone red and green a few times. That goes to show you just how much the temperature fluctuates. That tank, a couple degrees, it won't even hurt that tank. You won't even notice it. Here, it's going up and down while we're doing this video. So it shows you that, you know, a lot has been said about cycling small tanks. If something goes wrong in a small tank, it happens fast. So as you see there, this heater is actually working pretty well. It's responding to the slight temperature changes within this room. So now with the tank here, there's some rough edges all around 4 sides. Inside it's smooth, you don't feel it. So, I mean, overall, if you're getting into the hobby, you're looking at buying your children a tank, you know, this isn't a bad tank to start with. But as they illustrate on the box, they're showing, you know, like 3 or 4 fish in there. That's absurd. It's not going to happen unless you can find a way to DIY a much better and a much more efficient filter. 1 fish, not a problem. Maybe some shrimp, small shrimp, not so much a problem. But what you can do is, and I had the first-hand experience seeing this, is check out the merger between Green Oasis Farms and my aquarium box. Mike from Mass and Greg have come together and put together a beautiful tank. Everything that you need for the tank, ready to go, well planned out, well thought out, and I think that would be money more well spent than buying a $29 or $26 tank like this and having to add the heater and all the other stuff. So definitely go check them out if you're interested in what they've introduced. They did show it at the Aquatic Experience. I think it's an awesome setup. Maybe somewhere down the road I'll acquire one for myself. But to start out, they do make a 5-gallon and a 10-gallon of this particular style. If you want to do more than 2, or if you want to do 2 like I did here, I would suggest going for the larger tank. I can only get away with this because I'm using, more biological filtration in the filter. So overall, I can get away with this. I don't recommend it. You can do it if you know what you're doing, but if you're new in the hobby, this tank, set it up as you will, get yourself the heater, and you're pretty much all set. Now with these plants, these were cut off the runner, and being in the vase and with the fluctuation in temperature, you can see that there were some melting or some deterioration and probably lack of fertilization on those plants, because due to the size of the vases and even this tank, I was a little leery about putting root tabs in here because they can mess with your parameters. So I've opted not to do that right now. And again, this is temporary, so it does work out the way I want it to. I have other plants I could put in here that I could utilize and then just use a liquid fertilizer and they'll grow just fine. So now the light is green. So again, going back to the beginning here, you saw it go red, green, red, green. That just gives you an idea of how volatile a small tank can be. So again, there's my 2 males looking beautiful. The tank was a win-win. Didn't come out too bad. I mean, I could do a little bit more, but the more you add to a tank, you decrease the gallonage because it's taking the volume out of the tank. So keep that in mind when you want to add decorations and things like that, because a 2.5 gallon tank, by adding various things, can definitely shrink it down to 1.5 gallons, a gallon, depending on what you're putting in there. Substrate wise, with the pink and blue, the kids are happy. They've got their own fish, and I'm trying to affect 2 kids with MTS, so it's a good thing. I'd rather have them addicted to this than going out in the streets and getting addicted to something that's not a good thing to be addicted to. So all with that being said, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you listening to my rambling. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it gave you some ideas for your future Betta tank, or a gift, being it's the holiday season, what you might be able to get for your kids, your grandkids, your partner, your spouse, whoever. As always, folks, have a blessed day. Peace. Keep those sleeves wet. Racing's Natural Aquariums. I'm out.